Good morning, coming to you once again from beautiful downtown Vancouver. I'm with Mike Hudson, the CEO of Hannan Metals, and Mike's going to tell us all about Hannan Metals. I'll tell you right up front, once again, I own shares in this company, and I have actually owned shares since its founding a 3 years ago, I guess, 3 years ago. So Mike?
Yeah, so it is about 3 years ago since we took Hannan public on some zinc projects in Ireland, and there was a moment for zinc there, and we worked hard and expanded a system there, and now we're focused on copper in Peru, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
So you always like to know about the people and the share structure up front, don't you? So
well, not only me, but our viewers do too.
It's the most important.
I'm not going to say it's the most important part, but if it's not, it's pretty damn close.
Yeah, well, I think it's the most important part, right?
Okay.
You back good people in life, and this business, like every business, is about people, really, and I think that's reflective of, we had a good zinc property, but zinc wasn't working, and we were able to pivot.
You said it had its moment, and it was a little longer than a moment, but not much longer.
No. So we know Peru. So we've been in Peru for the last 25 years. I lived there in the 90s. I bought the database of a major that went into receivership that I was working for in the 90s. So with my business partner, we met in Peru during those days.
You and I in 1997 or so.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, a long time ago.
A little bar.
We both had hair then.
I know. So anyhow, we've been there, got large data resources, know the country, and we were able to identify these projects through good geological work, basically, with that data and information that we had. The share structure today is around 59, just shy of 59 million shares. The market cap is just over 12 million. We're raising money at the moment. We've got about $2.2 million we're raising, so that will take us around about 2.5 million in treasury. The outstanding shares then will be around 72 million. So we're in a better spot than we've been for a long time, and there seems to be a market now that is rewarding big area new discoveries, and it's a very cyclical business, and we go through these cycles, but this is the engine room that drives value in this business, and what I love doing, so I'm very excited.
Well, tell us about the rest of the management here. So we know about you, but you've got a good team behind you with lots of experience, lots of business acumen, lots of experience in Peru.
Yeah, so there's a group of us who've been together for essentially that time, the last 20 years, and they've been rock solid business partners through that period. So David Henstridge, who I actually met through Peru, also he ran a company called Peruvian Gold in the 90s, and that's how we hooked up then. His long-term business partner was Nick DeMare, who is very well known and a very solid person keeping the company, the back engine of the company.
Here in Vancouver.
Here in Vancouver. Yeah. We've got Lars Dalenborg, who is Swedish, a guy I've worked with for the last 12 years, and we've had a great relationship, and he's developed into an excellent geologist, not only just a geologist, but somebody who can now run these companies and put together what is quite exceptional in terms of pulling a new basin scale play together in a very short time frame, and that's really his brains that's done that.
Yeah, and he did a similar thing in Ireland, and I looked at his geological work, and it's impressive to say the least. Yeah, the man knows his rocks, and he knows his structural geology, obviously.
We taught him all we knew, and he surpassed it a long time ago.
So let's talk about the project, and you've alluded to basin scale copper play. So tell us, number one, where you are geographically, some history of this area as far as exploration goes, and what you're trying to do there. And bear in mind, folks, this is raw grassroots exploration, and this is where big deposits are discovered.
Yeah, the business has changed over the years from prospectors, 100 years ago walking the ground and finding things sticking out of the ground. They're becoming harder to find like that. And today, we really focus, the majors and the juniors, on brownfield exploration, which is around known deposits.
Right.
And there's a bit of a perception, I suppose, that most areas have been found, but that's not true if you really stand back. So 3 or 4 years ago, I was talking with a colleague, and we said, where do we really want to explore in the world, and where can we make new transformational discoveries? And we've been working on that project on and off for quite a while, and we knew Peru, and we talked about this area in Peru, and really opening up, we call it new search spaces, and that's a term we've taken from a brilliant geologist, John Ronsky, who talks about this concept. And you open up new search spaces, you collect data, you develop theories, and then you test them. Now that's just scientific theory.
Yeah, that's just science.
But new search spaces is the key point here. We're not going back to a place where it's been explored at all. So that's a very important thing. It's very different. You just called it grassroots exploration, but there's
greenfield or whatever, new search or whatever you want to call it, exactly. Reconnaissance.
So we're opening up this new search space that's never seen exploration for base metals other than 1 year, essentially. Rio Tinto worked in this area in the late 90s. Nevertheless, it's had a huge amount of exploration by the petroleum industry over the last 20 or 30 years. It's had hundreds of billions of dollars, I'd say. It's one of the most studied basins in the world from a petroleum point of view. It's up in the northern part of Peru. It's over the Andes in what they call the high selva or the high jungle.
Right.
It's about 600 to 1,200 meters high. We're about 150 kilometers from a town that's we're about 2 hours drive from a town of 150,000.
Tarapoto.
Yeah, and you've been there?
No, I never have.
It's a real frontier town. And
no, I can imagine. I have been on that side of the Andes, just not that far north.
And a dozen flights daily from Lima or
Oh,
more.
really?
And then 2 hours drive to the project. So we're not in deepest, darkest Lima where Paddington Bear comes from, I think, but it's
no marmalade sandwiches.
Exactly. So we got in there, started staking when the ground was staked for a number of years, and we saw it come free. And then we put 1 year of exploration together with all that petroleum data that's just been made freely available recently. So we're there, we're finding copper over very large areas.
It's impressive.
100 kilometres of strike we've got of these rocks.
Of showings, and we need to make that clear.
Absolutely.
Of copper showings.
Outcrops and boulders.
Yeah,
the grades are good.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing on average 2 to 5% copper over 2 to 5 metres thickness in one part of the stratigraphy, but there's multiple levels that are being defined, and so it's very exciting. These type of deposits, sediment-hosted copper, silver deposits, are the second most prolific form of copper in the world after porphyries.
Yep.
The majors love them. We're defining a new basin. We've started a staking rush now in that part of Peru. We have the first mover advantage, and now we've got money, which literally the company hasn't had a lot of over the last few years in this down market. So basically, what we've done to date will be tenfold by the next 7 or 8 months as we put a lot more geologists and time into this ground.
Social license. Do people like you there?
Nobody likes the mining industry anymore, Mickey. Everybody wants to have an iPhone or live in a warm house. So that's a discussion for another day. But this area hasn't had a lot of exploration, so we're starting from first principles essentially. Talking to people. We've got 3 sociologists on the ground.
Wow.
More than geologists. So yes, we've been welcome for the most part, absolutely, but it's an education, and we don't expect to be loved straight out of the gate by everybody, but you earn credibility in life, and that's the kind of people we are, and we'll work diligently to explain to people what we're doing and show them what we do, and then go back and tell them that again and again. And
again, yeah. And these types of deposits you're looking for, you have analogs in various parts of the world in some of the biggest copper districts in the world. So why don't you touch on that just a bit before we wrap up?
Yeah, sediment-hosted copper, as I said, the second most prolific form of copper in the world. They're the big discoveries in the Central African copper belt.
Yep.
And Robert Friedland's made a huge discovery there, Kamoa. That's this style. The Kufa Schiefer, which is, you know, I think the third largest producer of silver on Earth, let alone copper, and it's a copper deposit, is in Poland, and is a huge basin that's been mined forever and still being mined.
Right.
So yeah,
and then also, I'm an American, so you got to mention Spar Lake,
yeah,
okay?
Well, absolutely.
And these certainly have some characteristics that I've seen being underground at Spar Lake. Now that was a couple of decades ago, but so yeah.
No, absolutely, and it's all
in Montana, folks. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's many examples, and as geologists, we put things in boxes and try to find what works there to discover mineralization or what's associated with mineralization, and we see so many of those characteristics here in Peru in this new basin scale discovery. That's, you know, so we're talking about deposits that the majors will want.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Going to be, if you're successful here, it's going to be really easy to attract a major, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, no, and you know, this not as I often say, not trying to over promote this point, but they're knocking on the door not to buy the project, but to learn. Basically, and it's their job to learn about new discoveries, and yeah, we've been a bit overwhelmed by the amount of interest. Let's say.
I'm sure you have. Well, that's the story. Hannan Metals. I'm a shareholder. I think I'm going to be a very happy shareholder. Stock price is up tremendously over the last month, but there's still upside here. So please do your own due diligence on Hannan Metals, see what you think. And Michael, thanks for your time, mate.
Thanks, Mickey.